Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Awkward Dungeon Master. I just got back from North Carolina where I found something really cool at an antique store that I want to use in my game. So, if you remember the Universe Corn one-shot that I wrote a couple weeks ago, it was for a surprise trip for my friend's birthday to North Carolina, which I just did a week and a half ago. So, while I was in North Carolina, we went into an antique store while we were kind of just walking up and down the streets of Asheboro, North Carolina, and we found some kind of cool coins while we were perusing some of the cases up front there. They're really old, or they look really old. We're not really sure which, because doing some research online, there's some speculation as to whether or not these coins were actually used during the time of the gold rush. What they are is Brothel Tokens. So there's all different kinds of ones. I picked up 4 because I couldn't decide which one I wanted. One of my friends who plays D&D with me also picked one up for her girlfriend, so that was kind of cool. She thought it was funny. But most of them say on them $3 all-night check, and then the backs on them are all different. So like this one is for Stella's Saloon. This one's actually in Atlanta, Georgia, but it reads Best Screw in Town, which I thought was pretty funny. But essentially, there's some kind of debate as to what the coins were used for. Some people say they were used for advertisement, and then you could take them into the saloon or the brothel that you were going to and exchange them for a free drink while you were deciding whether or not you were going to have a girl for the night. But I've got a bunch of different ones. Kitty's Cat House, Jackson, California. This one says, the Octoroon, Madame Bollinger. You will receive sport enough to last for a year to come. From Los Angeles. And this one, honestly, the most hilarious, the China Doll in San Francisco. 10-cent looky, 25-cent feely, and 50-cent Dewey. That just cracks me the heck up. So I thought, how cool would it be to use these for DM inspiration? I, as a person, really like stuff that has a story. So when I find things like this in museums or at antique stores or garage sales that have interesting stories, I have to pick them up because that's just really cool to me. So I kind of want to use these for DM inspiration for some of my games just because they're kind of fun. And they're all solid brass, which is pretty neat. But another thing I want to talk about is these reminded me specifically because they were from the time of the gold rush and cowboys and kind of settlers and that sort of thing. I have a friend who runs a lot of Savage World games. These made me think of some of the Western style one-shot games he's run for like game days at the Borough and also at the convention that he runs. So that's pretty awesome. I thought it would be a really neat way to layer some like immersiveness into a game like that. So if you were doing a Western style game, you could hand out these brothel tokens and it just kind of adds that extra layer to the game since it's kind of more authentic feeling. Pretty freaking awesome. My friend Eric Carl, also, by the way, he runs the convention locally, but he also has a podcast called Metagamers Anonymous, and I've been on a few episodes of that. I will throw a link to his podcast down in the description. He's always got really good conversations. He has a variety of co-hosts that rotate through with him, so it's always nice to kind of listen to, and they talk about all sorts of tabletop gaming. They do board games and RPGs. I know that they've done some D&D. One of their friends does a lot of Call of Cthulhu, and he does a lot of Savage Worlds, so there's a nice mixture of tabletop RPGs in there if you like listening to people talk about all this other kind of stuff. And honestly, from listening to the podcast, I have personally gotten a lot of really good ideas for ways to like spice up my games too, which is really nice. But back to the point of this video, which is these super fun coins that I found. When you find cool stuff like this, kind of as you're just moving through your life and out and about, it's fun to pick it up and kind of give your game that extra little flavor. When you're DMing games, you kind of have to keep your mind open. I know my mind runs a lot, especially when I'm at work, thinking about the ways that I want to spice up my game at home and things that I can do with the story coming up. So when I'm out and about and I see something cool like this, every now and then like a little nugget of inspiration will strike me, and those kinds of things are great to grab and have for your game. I did that with, if you guys remember me talking about set pieces and that sort of thing, I had that big blue mat with the grid on it that I made myself. I just happened to be at Michael's and I saw that water paper. It was in like the teacher's like bullet board section. Like teachers make those fancy boards for every season of the year, if you remember those when you were a kid. And this water style paper paper was up there, and I was like, dude, how cool would it be for me to make a blue grid for my underwater campaign to just give that extra level of immersiveness. So that's why I kind of pick up stuff like that whenever inspiration strikes me and I just feel like I need this in my life. And I really feel like my players are going to get a kick out of these coins, probably just as much, if not more, than I do. And I really, really, really fucking love them. I cannot wait to see the looks on my players' faces when I hand these out for DM inspiration at my game on Thursday nights, because that's the game that I snagged them for. The reason these reminded me of Savage Worlds is they have something called bennies, which is very similar to DM inspiration, so then when you do something cool, but you can accumulate them and then use them to do stuff later. But essentially what a benny is when you fail at a check or you want to make something extra awesome, so you didn't roll as high as you wanted to, you can just be like, hey, I want to spend a benny, but you can accumulate them over the course of the game. So, yeah. If you guys have anything super cool that you use for bennies or for tokens, DM inspiration, that sort of thing, markers in your games, I would love to see them. We can talk about those kinds of things down below in the comments, or you can shoot a photo of them to me on my Twitter account. So yeah, if you guys have anything to add to the conversation, please do so. I always love chatting with you guys. And until next time, keep it rolling, adventurers. I'm an awkward duck.